I was doing marriage prep once a while back, and both of the couple identified as Catholics. But I had to be frank with them along the way. They were so far apart in their understanding of God and God's ways that they might as well have been two different religions. I told them that. I told them that they are both baptized Catholics, and yet theirs will probably be more like an interfaith marriage. One of them was offended. Just because someone identifies as Christian or Catholic does not mean we worship the same God. Oh, we worship one God, but definitely not the same God. Jesus identifies in this gospel you just heard proclaimed the two greatest commandments. That is to love the Lord your God with everything you are, totally, and also to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Commandments in the Aramaic world were not rules that needed to be followed, but rather a commandment was an originating lesson, an originating teaching of all the other teachings. On this teaching, every other teaching is held together. And notice that at the end of his life, Jesus said something that connected to this earlier statement of his when he said, "This is my one commandment. This is my essential teaching from which all the others spring, that you love one another. That you love one another as I have loved you." Over the years of our lives, I'm sure you would confirm this, we all find ourselves more in love with an image of a person than who that person really is. The first time we fall madly in love, romantic love, desire, oftentimes we fall in love with an image we have of that person, and it's always a rude awakening when we find out the person is not quite what we thought she or he was for us. We can do it with God too. Even more important than loving God is to make sure that we're loving what is truly God. Let me be clear. More important than loving God is loving the one true God. More important than believing in God is what we believe about God. Why? Because what we believe about God's nature matters. Because we end up becoming what we worship. So it really matters how we see God, the images we have of God, because we become what we worship. If, for example, God is all-powerful in my mind and in control of everything all the time, and everything is God's will, and this is understandable given the craziness of life right now. It's understandable that we want that kind of certitude. But if out of my need to create a God all-powerful and in control, my need for that kind of a God who's more like Zeus than the God of Jesus, I will start to seek myself to become powerful in my relationships and controlling even in my relationship, because that's the image I have of God. And I will see nothing wrong with that until it starts to backfire and corrupt the relationship that I value so much on my own. We become, you see, the God we worship. If my God is punitive and shaming and judgmental, and I've run into so many people over the years of being a priest whose God is truly punitive, shaming, and judgmental, and they think the only way they can get on track after getting off the rails is to be punitive, shaming, and judgmental even to themselves, but also to others who are not obeying the rules, then I will be constantly moralizing and punishing and shaming others who think differently than I and live differently than I. And if I think I have to somehow please God and beg God to come into my presence or beg God for mercy, I will start to do the same in my relationship with others. Now hear this. What we believe about God is more consequential than that we even believe in God. What we believe about God is more consequential than that we even believe in God. In the language of Jesus, which was Aramaic, the now famous teaching translated in all our English Bibles from Aramaic to Hebrew to Greek to Latin to English, that's a long journey for a word. The line that he said, and we have caught fire with in many ways, is believe in me, Jesus says, and you will do far greater works than I. But in Aramaic, more literally, it's not about believing in him, but believing like him. It's not believe in me and you will do far greater service or works than I've done. It's believing like me. There's no Aramaic word for in. So this is a very different understanding of what Jesus said. Jesus never made anything about himself in the historical Gospels. And so why all of a sudden was this all about him in this passage? And here he is, it seems, making it about himself because of the translation. Believe in me, and you will do greater works than I did. No. More like align yourself with the God Jesus aligned himself with, and you will do greater works, greater service even than he did. If your heart, mind, and soul are aligned with the heart, mind, and soul of Jesus and what he believed, trusting the source and the mystery we call God, just like Jesus trusted and believed in God. That's the more accurate translation, and it's so different than the others. But you can see where it aligns with the rest. For us who have seen the face of God in that singular Jewish man, Jesus, we must love the Lord our God with all of our hearts. That means one thing and only one thing. There's no God but God, and God is love. God is love. And if God is love, that means we, you and I, are love. We are love. We are love itself. Therefore, we must devote our lives to love, to becoming love, loving God and loving God in our neighbor. Anything else is not worship of the one true God alone, who Jesus believed in and worshiped and surrendered himself to. In that face and in that life, we now have revealed to us what God is like. We now know the true nature of God. And the true nature of God is love. Self-emptying, self-giving love. It has taken us from the most primitive of our species some 10,000 years ago, and from Genesis till Jesus, to come to this clarity that the least wrong thing we can say about the mystery that is God is that God is love. This gospel has Jesus being quoted as quoting. And what Jesus is quoting for us is the only law in all of his scripture that he held binding for himself and now for all of us. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. With all your heart. What does it mean to love a human being with all your heart? It means that there's just one who is oneness itself, who is love. And that love is the love with which we love each other. This, then, is this and only this. God is the energy of self-emptying and self-giving. This, then, is only this: God is the energy of self-emptying and self-giving love. That is God, and that alone is God. So you see, what we believe about God matters. It's consequential to our lives. It has even changed how I pray. Mostly my praying these days has become so simple. Perhaps it's even more like a creed, actually, as some people would hear it. But sometimes it's all I pray. And when I'm alone, I literally shout it out to the fields that stretch in front of me, to the mountains I stand on, to the sea, to the forest I stand in, and sometimes I just whisper it standing in the window of my home. My whole prayer has become increasingly 3 sentences. I am. I am love. I am becoming love. I don't know that there are more words needed. For me, at least, it says it all. I am is what God told us God's own name was. I am, God said. I am existence itself. I am equals I exist. And I am love. I am love is what Jesus revealed as the deepest truth of the mystery. And in God's image and likeness, therefore, I am love. And because I am always, always, always becoming who I already am, I am becoming love. With every loving act manifesting my true nature, every kind and forgiving word, every moment of true compassion for my neighbor, near and far, I am becoming love. Moms and dads of our students, this would have been Parents' Weekend, and so this Mass and the other Mass this afternoon are offered for all the moms and dads of our students. A huge thank you for all the ways you've turned the divine face towards your university students over their years. No one expects you to have done it perfectly, but you did it, and well. Whether you are here in this chapel or at home far flung from this place, whether you are parents listening in from home to see your son and daughter in the congregation today, whether you are listening from wherever you are listening from, whether today or you find yourself just plain old hurting because of all the things going on in the world, or scared, or grateful, say it after me if you would. Say it after I say it each time, and be most certain that it is true, even if sometimes your actions are not consonant with it. And if you want to use gestures when you say it, here we ask you just to whisper it, really. But if you're at home and you're at home alone or riding in your car listening to this, shout it out. Repeat then after me these profound words that describe who we are because of who God is. I am. I am love. I am becoming love. Consequential, indeed.